If you or your loved one have been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease or suspect you have an autoimmune disease, this video is a must for you to learn how leaky gut can cause autoimmunity. Plus, you'll learn tips and secrets to heal leaky gut and therefore autoimmunity. Welcome to the Ask Dr. Khan Show, where you learn to master your health. I'm Dr. Peter Khan, board-certified chiropractic neurologist and functional medicine doc. Now, welcome to part 3 of this 3-part series on Leaky Gut Secrets. Now, in this interview with my friend and colleague, Dr. John Dempster, you'll learn the mechanisms of leaky gut causing autoimmunity. Now, it's important for you to know that autoimmune progress in stages, from stage 1, which is silent autoimmunity, when you don't even have symptoms, to stage 2, which is autoimmune reactivity, which is when you start to have symptoms, but not bad enough to get diagnosed. Then finally, stage 3 is when you get the autoimmune diagnosis, which can take years before your doctor figures this out, while you suffer with symptoms with no answers. It's even more important that you learn that you may not even have any gut symptoms with leaky gut. That leaky gut often manifests as brain fog, fatigue, depression, joint pain, thyroid problems, and many other conditions. You'll learn why that is in this video. Let's dive right in to help you master leaky gut.
Thank you. I'm going to quickly tangent to a question I've been dying to get to as well. Is, we hear a lot about the gut and the immune system, but specifically, and I know this is a very important topic to you, is the autoimmune pandemic, if you will, that we're seeing right now. We have over 200 autoimmune conditions that are diagnosable in your clinic. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of it. We are seeing a lot of it here. What's the connection to leaky gut and this autoimmune bombardment that that we're witnessing right now?
Yeah, definitely. Autoimmune is on the rise. More higher incidence, more people having it, and leaky gut is one of those things that can be a predisposing factor for autoimmune. Now, I'm not going to say every single person with autoimmune have leaky gut, but I would say many do. Okay, and in research is very clearly stated by Dr. Alessio Fasano, who's one of the leading researchers of gluten sensitivity, who's the person that actually discovered leaky gut. And we think he's going to win the Nobel Prize for his discovery, his work on leaky gut and gluten. And in his paper, he specifically says that leaky gut is a predisposing factor for autoimmune disease. That means if you have leaky gut, you're much more likely to develop autoimmune disease. The reason for that is because when you have leaky gut, you have food dietary proteins, you have bacterial endotoxins and pathogens that can, and various other toxins can just simply leak out of the gut lining. When these things leak out of the gut lining, remember your gut is supposed to be a protective tube so that junk and poo stays in the gut so that you poop it out the other end. If it leaks through the intestinal tract prematurely, that's going to present to the immune system a big signal that something is wrong. And your immune system is going to develop antibody and various innate immune response to basically try to attack these things that are leaking out of the gut. And that's going to drive this immune system overreaction, which includes the production of more antibodies. And what happens is sometimes you can have cell tissue that's floating around. And that cell tissue may get, if your immune system is already overzealous, it's going to increase the probability that cell tissue gets picked up by the immune system, by your antigen presenting cells, take it to the lymph node and present it to the B cells, and you're going to develop antibody. You can potentially have a match for an antibody for that cell tissue. And that's going to be the start of autoimmune disease. Now, of course, autoimmune comes in stages, right? You can have a pre-autoimmune state where you have antibodies, but you don't have symptoms. We call that silent autoimmunity. But then it can develop into autoimmune reaction where you have antibodies and you have symptom, but not enough tissue destruction to be called an autoimmune disease. This is where most people come to you and I looking for answers. And then if they don't find, the proper help in time, then they progress to having, frank autoimmune disease. This is where people with celiac disease will have the villus atrophy, right? But by then they would have had years of that process happening until they got to villus atrophy. But that's the point at which it's medically diagnosable. Well, who in their right mind want to wait till it's medically diagnosable when you could do something way before it's become that point? So this is where the work that we do in functional medicine is to look for the root cause, look for early stage of these things and correcting these imbalances before they become full-fledged problems. And that's really important for people to understand, because these gut problems oftentimes, again, like I said earlier, it doesn't show up as a gut problem. And I was going to say this again, leaky gut often doesn't come with gut symptoms. So you can't just say that, oh, my tummy feels fine, so I don't have leaky gut. Not necessarily, because leaky gut can manifest simply as inflammation, like you just have joint pain, you're achy. It can manifest simply as brain fog. You just feel like you have short-term memory and you can't remember things. It can manifest simply as like Hashimoto's or some other autoimmune disease that have nothing to do with the gut. Although it can produce gut symptom as well, but it doesn't have to. So you can't use that as a way to tell whether you have a gut problem. And this is the reason why when people come to our office with chronic illness, we're asking questions. We're asking, okay, is there potential for leaky gut? Because if you have brain symptoms, if you have inflammation, if you have, joint problems, it can all be linked to leaky gut. And therefore, we have to ask questions and do the proper diagnostic and address it if that's the case.
So we touched on a lot of the triggers, and we've even touched on what leaky gut can lead to. Now tell me, Dr. Khan, how do we fix it? What do we do to heal leaky gut?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? And that's what we all strive to do, because it's such a big problem, and therefore, it's a big focus of ours. As far as how to fix it, I think it's always about, for me, it's about identifying whether that's happening. And unfortunately, with current available technology and lab tests, we can find out how severe it is. Again, the severity of the leaky gut does not necessarily translate to the severity of the symptom, because you can have symptom in other places that's not the gut. And sometimes you can have severe leaky gut and feel mild symptoms, or you can have mild leaky gut that can lead to severe symptoms. So just everybody's going to be different. But my first step is to identify it and quantify it if I can, so that we know what's the time frame, how hard we have to work at it to get it back to, relative stability. And once we do that, then it's about identifying what's causing the leaky gut, if we can. Sometimes we can't identify all the factors. We can just identify a few of the factors. But if we can identify some of the main factors, such as gluten and other things, and start to work on it, eliminating these triggers, then the people might already start to do better. Now, in addition to eliminating the trigger, we also have tools and supplements and nutrition that can specifically help heal the gut lining. Some of the things that I use are, things like L-glutamine, which is an amino acid. That's a fuel for the enterocyte. So basically you give the intestinal cells more energy, then they have more energy to heal themselves, to do what they need to do to rebuild themselves. DGL, deglycyrrhizid licorice root extract, is helpful for decreasing inflammation in the gut. Aloe vera extract, marshmallow root extract, golden seal. There's various compounds, but the bottom line is there are tools that can help with that, supplemental wise. Now, I want to say, besides just taking supplements to heal the gut, we must recognize that leaky gut is an immune system problem. Okay, leaky gut is really not a gut problem per se. It's really an immune system problem that's happening within the gut, right? And then because of that, then some of the things that we use to help with leaky gut is our immune modulators, like vitamin D is actually a very important component for healing leaky gut. I use a lot of glutathione. Glutathione is going to be very important for leaky gut as well, because it helps to regulate the T regulatory cells, to modulate immune system reaction against itself. Really think about leaky gut. Remember, how do we test leaky gut? It's occludin zonulin antibody, actomyosin antibody. What are these? Self-tissue. So we're measuring antibody to self-tissue. What does that look like? Autoimmune. So essentially, I'm treating leaky gut as if it's an autoimmune issue, which means I'm going to modulate the immune system with vitamin D, with glutathione, with things that are mucilaginous that can coat the gut. Like I said, L-glutamine and okra extract, aloe extract, things like that. And then we're looking for potential and other ways to dampen inflammation in the gut, potentially using turmeric, potentially using omega-3 fatty acids, resveratrol. And then we're looking for underlying trigger. If there's dysbiosis, we use natural antimicrobials to reduce that pathogenic load. If there's environmental toxin exposure, then we want to work their way toward doing detox. Maybe not right away, but as they become more stable, that is a goal or an objective we want to get to toward the later parts of the program, when they are able to handle that type of stuff. So those are the things that we do to help with leaky gut. Of course, diet is really important too, right? You can't just take the supplements and still eat gluten and still eat sugar and junk and expect the supplement to work. So it's really a teamwork approach where the client and the patient has their part and we have our part. If the client's not willing to participate, not willing to, do what they need to do to help themselves get better, then, the stuff that we do is going to be a very limited, improvement for them. So.
Well, this has been absolute gold, Dr. Khan. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience. And, this is very, very informative to everyone listening today. Now, where can we learn more about you?
So you can find me on YouTube, actually. I have a lot of free videos just out there. So you can just search Dr. Peter Khan, K-A-N, and you'll see the bald-headed Chinese guy on YouTube. Pretty easy to narrow. Or you can go to our website at askdrkhan.com.
Let me know in the comments what stage of autoimmune you think you're in. Stage 1 with silent autoimmunity, or stage 2 with autoimmune reactions, or stage 3 where you already have an autoimmune diagnosis. Now please hit that like button if you learned something new, or you already know some of the stuff but you got new revelations from this video. Now, if you've not subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified when I release new videos to help you master your health. God bless you. See you in the next video.